So we've built our insulating layer over where the door should be. The inside height is 27 inches because that's 75% of our diameter, which was 36 inches, right? The height of our door is 63% of the height of the interior, and that's 17 inches. What we've been doing as we built up is angling the cob in slightly all the way around so that the door is easier to slide in, right? If it's perfectly straight, then you're fighting the door all the way through. If it bevels in, then it can go into the tight spot. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna score with our trowel. You can use a machete, you can use a serrated knife, you can use a shovel. And what I'm doing is I'm following the bevel that we already made on the walls, although we have some room to reshape. All right. And when this comes out, and we could go ahead and throw that on a tarp actually. So you can see our newspaper, and our newspaper reminds us that that's end of cob, beginning of sand. And then we can clean this up, we can carve it back. If we ended up too low, you know, we'll remeasure at the end, make sure we're still at least 17. I find actually that if you're gonna err on the side of too high, otherwise the smoke backtracks and smothers the fire back out again. Okay, our final step is take out the sand. The worst case scenario is that it cracks a little bit or collapses a little bit on the inside. This is not going anywhere. So worst case scenario is somebody,
Rodney,
I'll volunteer, Chloe is gonna slide in there and just replaster the top and fill the gaps.
Right, Chloe.
Or you live with the cracks and the cracks are fine. Right, so that's the worst case scenario.
Want a wheelbarrow?
Sure.
You got a bucket?
Who else wants to dig?
It's gonna collapse it.
Yeah.
There's a bowl in there at the dry.
Oh.
So let's get a chicken and put it in.
What I'm doing is I'm peeling the paper off the top. The paper that we had between the sand and the cob. And then I'm looking for any cracks. Not that they're crucial, the cracks, we could leave them. But I like to have it nice and smooth, so I'm just using some nice wet mix. And I'm just filling in wherever we have cracks. I'm just going to explain sort of what happens from here forward. So in terms of aesthetics in the outside and protecting it, if it doesn't get a roof, you want to shape it so that it sheds water, and then you want to put usually a lime plaster on it. You can do a clay plaster. You can do clay plaster with manure. Is quite waterproof but breathable. Breathable meaning vapor transfers through. That works really well. If you do a clay plaster, just know that you'll be patching it every year, but it takes a few hours. It's not a big deal. And then the final piece is the door. So while the fire's inside, it's burning in here. The air is the oxygen supply, the air supply is coming in low, fueling the fire. The warm air, the smoke off the fire is going up into the dome, curling down and around and out the top of the door. The oven warms up and warms up and warms up. And again, for this size oven, it's probably 3 hours of fire in there before it's fully heated. It's just a glow ever so slightly. You can use a thermometer to check your temperature. If you're doing pizza, you're usually shooting for around 700 degrees inside. And then you need to keep that heat in there, right? So we've insulated it, but if we just leave it open, it's gonna cool down pretty darn quick. So you want a door on that that's gonna, just like on your oven, you don't turn the oven on and then leave the door open. You close it while you're baking something, so we're doing the same thing. So we're gonna build a door that suits the shape. If you build your door ahead of time, you can trace the door before you cut. So then you've used the door you made to template instead of trying to make a door that fits the hole you made. You want a handle on it? It can be wood because the door goes on after the fire's out, so you don't worry about it burning. So we've let the whole fire burn for, it's actually been burning for over 4 hours. We're down to coals, let it burn out, as much as possible. And then what we're gonna do is pull the fire out, and it needs to go in something that's non-flammable, non-meltable, so no plastic trash can. And one of these is still a big piece, so that could actually be used next time to start the fire again. And I'm going to leave some coals just around the rim of the back. We have such a big oven and I want to keep it warm for longer, and that just buys me some time. And then you want to clean off the oven floor so that you don't have sand and ash in the bottom of whatever you're cooking. A cotton mop works well for this. Just again, don't use anything plastic. If you use an old shirt, it needs to be a cotton shirt. Otherwise you have something melting on the bottom of your floor, and that sucks. So I'm just pushing it off to the sides. Again, I'm just going to bake in the middle. You can see the ash coming out. All right, so one way to test the temperature of your oven is to sprinkle some flour. And if it browns really quickly, it's too hot. And you can see in the back there, it's browning. It takes about 15 seconds to brown. But then you can see in the front here, you can actually see the temperature variation. Oh, yeah. In the front, it didn't brown, it hasn't browned at all. But the middle is smoking, or the back part, the middle of the oven, the back part of the flour is smoking. And the middle part has just browned and stopped, right? So that's the ideal. And Holly has kindly wet our door so that it doesn't continue to spontaneously combust. Put our pizza in. And close the door. And we have the pizza. Woo-hoo.
Nice.
Is that it?
That's it. Woohoo!